Why most of the students feel sleepy while they are studying? Now, this has been a huge problem for all the students who are studying, including myself. I still can remember when I was at school, I used to fall asleep right after I get a book to my hand. Do you have the same experience? I think yes. Well, today in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 7 tips you can practice to stay away from sleepiness while studying. So the same thing happened to a monk who lived in the Buddhist time. He was struggling with meditation, especially he was struggling with the sleepiness during meditation. So the Buddha gave him these 7 advices and 7 tips to practice to stay away from the sleepiness during the meditation. But these tips can be applied to our studies as well. So without any further ado, let's dive into these tips. Tip number 1, change the perception. Sometimes the reason for our sleepiness is not where we study or when we study, but what we study, right? Sometimes the meditation that we are doing, maybe the subject that we are studying is not vibing along with our mind. At that time, we feel boring and less interested. Once you feel boring, what is the normal reaction from your body? You feel sleepy, right? You feel the drowsiness within you. That is why the Buddha says, change the perception. Once you feel sleepy while studying or meditating, just change the perception. Change what you study for a little while. Let's say you're studying a subject and you feel boring, okay? You feel less interested. So what do you have to do? Change it to something that you feel interesting. Maybe a subject that you feel fun in studying, maybe you enjoy that subject, maybe it is your favorite subject, maybe it is your favorite meditation, okay? Once you do that, what happens to you is you're doing something that is enjoyable and enthusiastic, you feel that enthusiasm within you, then your body and your mind becomes active. Okay, once your body and mind becomes active, what will happen? Your mind will open to new things. Okay, so when you spend a little while in that enthusiastic activity, maybe studying, maybe meditating, okay, then you can come back to the same thing that you've studied earlier and keep on studying, because at that time we gave our mind a little jump start to be active. Tip number 2, memorize it. The Buddha says, recall what you have studied and memorize it and examine it with your mind. When you examine something with your mind, when you recall something from your mind and you wisely reflect on it, what happens? Your mind becomes active. Okay, because you need that focus and you need that activeness in your mind to memorize it. Once you memorize it, what will happen? You stay away from that inactiveness or inactive state of your mind. Then it will help you to stay away from the sleepiness. So what you have to do, whenever you feel sleepy or drowsy, just memorize one thing that you have learned or recall something that you have learned. That is one thing that we can do. Tip number 3, reciting. Now, reciting is one of the best ways to stay away from sleepiness during meditation and studying. Okay? Now, when you recite something or when you say something out loud, it activates your jaw muscles and your mouth. And also, when you recite something, you create those vibrations in your skull and it activates your brain. Okay, once your brain and your muscles are active, your jaw muscles are active, you feel some energy within your head. Okay, and then it will be very easy for you to study. And also, when you recite something, it gives that activeness to your body, and then it will help you to stay away from the sleepiness. That is tip number 3. Tip number 4, the Buddha says, pinch your ears and rub your limbs. Now, when you pinch your ears and rub your limbs, what happens is your muscles get a good blood circulation and your body becomes active. Once your body becomes active, then your mind becomes active. Then you will be less sleepy and you can stay away from sleepiness by doing this. So this is something that very simple that you can do to stay away from sleepiness. Tip number 5, the Buddha says, get up from your seat and wash your eyes with cold water and look at the night sky. Especially if you're studying at night, maybe you're meditating at night, right? If you feel sleepy, you can go outside and look at the night sky, enjoy the nature, enjoy that breeze. Okay, once you stay in the nature for a little while, you feel so much refreshed, and then you can come back to studying and meditation and keep on doing it. So nature can make our body so much refreshed. Keep that in your mind. Tip number 6, the Buddha says, focus on the perception of light. Now, most of the time when we are studying at night, the reason for our sleepiness is the surrounding. Okay, sometimes some people used to study in a dark room, maybe in the darkness, okay, while having a little light on them. Okay, the reason for our sleepiness can be the darkness around us, because when the darkness surrounds us, we feel like sleeping because it stimulates our sleepiness. Okay, because we used to sleep in the darkness, and then when there is darkness around us, it triggers our sleepiness. So what the Buddha says is, just when you study, focus on something that is very bright. Okay, focus your mind on something that is very bright and think that you are studying. Imagine that you are studying in the daytime. Okay, when you're studying, always try to study under a good light source. And also you can imagine to yourself that I am studying in the daytime. Okay, when you imagine it and when you have that perception of light in your mind, then you will feel less sleepy. Okay, so that is one thing that we can do to focus on the perception of light. And we have come to the final and the 7th tip, and that is, the Buddha says, do walking meditation. Whenever you are meditating, okay, or when you are studying, if you feel sleepy, if you feel drowsy, just get up from the seat and go and walk back and forth with mindfulness. Okay, focus on your bodily postures and bodily movements and go walk back and forth for a little while. Okay, it will activate your body as well as it will activate your mind, because we need a good focus to be mindful. Okay, once the mind becomes mindful, it activates our mind. So that is one way that we can stay away from sleepiness, to do the walking meditation. So, okay, so as students, you all can do these things. Let's say you tried all of these 7 tips and none of them worked for you. Okay, you still feel sleepy. Then what we can do? The Buddha says, if none of them worked for you, that means you really need a sleep. Okay, so that is why the Buddha says, then you can go to bed mindfully. Okay, being mindful about the posture that you are going to sleep, and you have to remember to yourself that right at this time, okay, maybe after 1 hour, I'm going to wake up. Okay, when you do that, when you remember to yourself that the wake up time, then it is very easy for you to wake up. And also remember, most of the time, the students enjoy sleeping, okay, more than studying. Okay, it is all about our priorities. When we give the priority to study, we can easily study. When we give the priority in our mind to sleep more than studying, then you feel more and more sleepy. So that is why it is all about what you give priority to. Okay, so remember, so if none of those 7 tips worked for you, just have some rest and then go back to studies or meditating. So these are the things that we can apply to our daily life to stay away from sleepiness during studying and also during meditating. So apply these things and see what works for you. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to today's video. Today, this special video is entirely dedicated to those who are studying. Now, one of the most frequent questions that I get asked in the comment section is, Bhante, I'm studying and my mind is distracting all the time, and how to focus on studying? Well, today, let's discuss about this distracting mind. Okay, and also I'm going to share with you a few tips where you can practice in while you're studying to help to focus your mind on studying. So without any further ado, let's get into these tips. Now, while you're studying, Have you ever found yourself daydreaming? Right? Sometimes we sit down to study and we just turn our book on and we start to study, and after a few minutes, what happens to us? We just get distracted, right? We just start daydreaming. Trust me, when I was studying, when I was at home, before I became a monk, when I was studying, I used to daydream a lot. Okay, I used to get distracted a lot. So it is very difficult. I know it is very difficult, and it's very hard to focus our mind to studies because we live in a world where there are many distractions. So what we can do about this distracting mind, and how can we focus on our mind on our studies? Well, there are certain things that you can do. And one of them is, the first thing that I want to share with you today is that I would like you to write down what you become distracted. Okay? This is something that you get heard rarely. Okay? So let's say like this. You're studying. Okay? And you turn over the book and you started studying. And sometimes the same thing happened. What is that? Daydreaming. Okay? It's okay. Let it happen. Okay? Once you know, and once you identify that you are daydreaming, and once you found yourself that you are daydreaming, what do you have to do? I want you to take a pen or a pencil and take a blank paper and write down that thought that you became distracted. For an example, while you're studying, sometimes we used to think about foods a lot. Okay? So what do you have to do? Write it down. I got distracted about thinking about biryani. Okay? Something like that. Or sometimes we become distracted thinking about the past experiences, the things that happened in the past. Okay? So what do you have to do? Write it down. Jot it down on a paper. Now, why should we do this? Because most of the time, we are not aware of what we are thinking. When we become distracted and when we daydream, we don't know what is going in our mind. We don't know what we are thinking. We just jump into that stream of thoughts and we just flow down. So what do you have to do? When you write that thought in a piece of paper, right? It's like you're identifying that thought, right? You code that thought and you identified, okay, this is what makes me distracted. This is what makes me unfocused on studies. Okay, then there's a physical thing that you can see, and you can see that it is physically that you are distracting. Okay, so what do you have to do? Write down your distracting thoughts. Okay, then you have a good understanding. When you do this for a little while, what can you do is, and what can you find is, there's a pattern of distractions. That means we become distracted for few thoughts, and they are the thoughts that come again and again to our mind. So what do you have to do? Write it down. That is the first tip. Second tip, identify what makes you distracted and then be brave enough to remove all those distractions. There are triggers that makes us distracted. Let's say, for an example, our mobile phone. Okay, let's say you're studying and there's the mobile phone on the desk. Each and every time it rings a notification, what do? We take our mobile phone and we check what it is. Okay, so a mobile phone is not distracting you. It is a trigger for your distraction. Trigger is just a trigger until you give the power to that to make you distracted. So what do you have to do? Physically, by force, sometimes it's very difficult, okay? You have to be brave enough to do that. Remove that distraction. If your mobile phone is distracting you, be brave enough to remove it, okay? If your laptop or your any technical device that is distracting you, be brave enough to remove it. And sometimes, right, sometimes we have to use this technology. Okay, sometimes you have to use your laptop to study. So what do you have to do? While you're doing it, be much more disciplined and much more aware of what you're thinking and what you're doing inside it. Okay, use it only for what you want. Okay, while studying. I'm not saying that other times you can use it in whatever way you want, but Use it only for what you want while studying. So the second tip is to be brave enough to remove the distractions. Okay, if something is distracting you, you have to remove it. Tip number 3, do not study for long hours continuously. I can still remember when I was studying and when I was at home, I can still remember I used to make these schedules and timetables to study for 2 or 3 hours continuously. You know, it is not productive. So what you can do? You can study for short time intervals. Maybe like, let's say 25 minutes. Okay, you can use 25 minutes to study, okay, and then take a little bit of a break and then again study. And while you're studying, what you have to do, you have to jot down and you have to write down all those distracting thoughts. Okay, keep that in your mind. So do not study for long hours. Just take a break and refresh yourself and then come back again to studies. That is another thing that you can do. And here comes the final tip, the tip number 4. It is the most important thing and the most awesome thing is to practice a little bit of meditation before every study session. Okay, before every study session, let's say you studied for 25 minutes and you took an interval, then you came back to study. Now while you are taking that break, sometimes you do certain things to make your mind busy even more. So what we have to do, we have to just settle down and make our mind to focus. To do that, we can use a little bit of meditation before every study session. Just sit down on your chair and just close your eyes. And the easiest thing that you can do is to watch this flow of breath, in breath and out breath. When you practice this calming meditations like breathing meditation, that is one of the easiest meditations that you can do. When you focus your mind on this in-breath and out-breath, it helps you to become calm and settle down. Then your mind will get ready to study. Okay, so these are the few things and few easy things that you can do and practice while studying. Okay, so use these things and use these tips to study and make your studies a more productive one. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome and welcome back to another video. In today's video, I will be answering a question from comments. So one of our viewers have asked from us that he has mentioned, my exams are near, especially final exams. I am totally stressed and I'm tensed. So I feel like not doing anything. Please help me. And the question ended with a sad emoji mark. So I'm extremely passionate about answering these kinds of questions. So in this video, I will be sharing with you some tips and things that you can practice in your daily life to overcome this exam stress and also the stress in any kind of challenges. Okay, so here's the thing. First of all, you have to remember that not only exams makes us fear or stressed. Almost all the challenges that we face in our life, when we face them, we feel stressed and we feel depressed. Okay, we feel the fear. So fear and the stress and this the tense feeling that is inside your mind is a common human reaction. That means you are not alone in this world. Everyone, including myself, and everyone feels this. Okay, everyone feels that. So you're not alone. So the first thing that you have to understand is what is in your control and what is not. Okay, so let me ask you a question from you. Is the questions that you face in the exam paper, the questions that you get in the exam paper, is it under your control? No, they're not. Okay, you don't know what you're going to face, but one thing that you know is you will be getting one of the questions from the things that you have been taught. Okay, that is for sure, you will get that. So The questions that we get is totally not under our control. How the examiners make the question is not under your control. So if something is not under your control, is it worth worrying about? If you have no anything to do about that, right? If you cannot do anything to change it, no, you don't want to worry about that, because why we should worry about the things that we cannot control or we cannot change? So that is the thing. The exam questions are not under your control. Understand it, first of all. And the next step, what is in your control? Exactly the process, getting ready for the exam, studying, and the amount of hours that you study, and the techniques that you use to study, okay? And how productive you become is totally under your control, okay? So you can do something about that. So if you can change something, if you can do something about that, should you worry about that? You don't want to worry about that because it is totally under your control, okay? That is one thing. And the next thing that you have to do is to try to be in this present moment. Because in the times of exams, we are so focused on maybe like in the future or to the past. Sometimes if we haven't done anything, like if we haven't studied, what happens with us is we constantly regret about the things that you have done in past, okay? And if you're stressed about the exams, what will be happen in the exam, then you're constantly regretting or thinking about the future. We hardly stay in this present moment. So what we can do is we can train our mind to stay in this present moment, because you only own this moment, not the past, not the future, but the present, okay? So do some meditations, do some mindful exercises to be present, to stay in this moment and make a good choice to study, to make a change in your life. That is one thing that you can do. And the another thing that you can do is to get used to this thinking of impermanence, thinking about impermanence, okay? In Buddhism, it gives a huge space to talk about and think about and reflect about the impermanence, okay? Whatever feeling that you feel now, maybe stress, maybe depression, maybe anxiety, maybe happiness, whatever the feeling that you feel, let it be good or bad, it is impermanent. It is going to change. So for sure, your exam stress, right, how you feel about exam is also going to change over the time. So you don't want to worry about that, okay? That is one thing that you can do to focus your mind on impermanence. And the other thing that you can do is to be the best that you can be. Not to be the best in the class, maybe in the school, or maybe in this university, not to be the best, but to be the best version of yourself, okay? If you try to be the best version of yourself, you try your best to do it. You give your best to do it. You give your fullest potential to do it, okay? So there's another problem that comes in here, okay? Our parents have lots of expectations about us. Even that makes us a little bit stressed. So what we can do? This is one thing that I give as an advice for all the students if they have those kinds of problems. You have to maintain a good communication with your parents, okay? Go to your parents and say, Amma or Tata or Mama or Dada, maybe I cannot be the best in the school. Maybe I cannot take the fullest marks in the exam. Maybe I cannot be the best in the university or somewhere else, but I will try my best in the exam. I will give my fullest potential to study and to be good at exams, okay? So when you do that, your parents will understand about you, okay? That is one thing that you can do. And finally, finally, this is one thing that you have to do and you must do during these exam times. Be kind to yourself. Take care of yourself. Sometimes some children, they try harder by not sleeping and spending sleepless nights and not having proper healthy foods and not having proper nutrition while they're studying. That will not help you to be productive. Okay, so you must study as well as you must maintain a good health, because that will help you to maintain a good mental balance. Okay, so be kind to yourself. Okay, if mistakes can happen from anyone, okay, you can make mistakes in your life, okay, but you have to forgive yourself. And also you have to remember that exams are not the life. There are so many things that you can do and you have to do beyond the exams. And this is not the only challenge that you're going to face in your life. Okay? So keep these tips in your mind and practice these things. And then face the exam. So I hope you will get some light on this topic. So I wish all the best and all the very best in your exams. Be more productive and live your life happily. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. Do you know why we need to be so serious and we need to be wise when we choose friends? Now, the reason is the friends and the people who we choose to associate can shape our character. They can affect in many ways in our life. Okay, so that is why we need to be very serious and very wise when we let people into our life. Okay, because there's a saying that goes like this: you become who you choose to associate with. Okay, you become like the people around you're surrounding with. So that is why we need to find a true friend and good friends to associate. But the thing is, it is very hard to find a true friend. Okay? How can we find a true friend? What are the signs? Well, the Buddha taught there are 7 signs of a true friend. Buddha taught this in a sutta named Mitta Sutta in Anguttara Nikaya, Book of 7. The Buddha says there are 7 signs of a true friend. The first sign is, the Buddha says, he gives what is hard to give. What do you mean by that? Giving what is hard to give is not about material gifts, okay? It is not about giving the gifts and the presents that you like, okay? A true friend will give you his time, his or her time, the valuable thing, the most valuable thing in our life, the time, the dedication, listening, helping hand, and care and kindness. These are the most valuable things, and these are the most hardest thing that people find to give to other people. Okay? So a true friend will never be shy or never think twice to dedicate his time and his effort and his dedication towards your success. Okay? So the Buddha says the first sign of a true friend is he gives what is hard to give. The second sign is, the Buddha says, he does what is hard to do. Now, what do you mean by that? It means a true friend will always step out of his comfort zone to help you. Okay? He will do what he finds hard to do for your own benefit. Okay? That is all about dedication. That is all about sacrifice. Okay? A true friend will always be there for you, no matter how hard he or she finds it. Okay, so a true friend will do what is hard to do. The third sign is, the Buddha says, he endures what is hard to endure. Okay, no matter how hard his life become, or no matter how hard her lives become, they will endure all the difficulties and tough times, and they will be there for you. Okay, they will stand with you, and they will face those tough times together. Okay. So these are all things about dedication of a true friend. Okay, purely, they are pure in their heart, and they are always willing to help you. So this is all about dedication and sacrifice. So that is why the Buddha said, a true friend will endure what is hard to endure. The fourth sign is, I'd like to put fourth sign and the fifth sign together because it is all about the trust. The Buddha says, a true friend will protect your secrets. He will never reveal your secrets to anyone. And also, a true friend will reveal his secrets or her secrets to you. That means a true friend is trustworthy. You can trust him or her, and they will trust you also. So a true friend is a friend who is trustworthy. And the next sign is, the Buddha says, a true friend is a friend who stands with you when you face tough times in your life. Okay, when you hit misfortune, when the life strikes you with misfortune, and when you hit the rock bottom in your life, a true friend will never abandon you. He or she will be there with you always, facing the tough times together. Okay, lending their helping hand, caring for you, and showing their kindness. Now, this is one of the best tests to find that your friend is a true friend or not. Okay, because there are so many people who claim them to be the friends, but when we hit the misfortune, when we have troubles in our life, they're gone. Okay, so a true friend will be there for you, be there with you no matter what happens in your life, even in your good days and even in your bad days. They will be there with you. And the final sign is, the Buddha says, when you hit misfortune and when you have tough times in your life, a true friend will never look down on you. Okay, they will never disgrace you, they will never disrespect you. Okay, they will always protect your personality. Okay, they have the respect in their heart for you, and also they will be honest with you always. Okay, one of the best signs of a true friend is they will become honest. Okay, they will say what is wrong as wrong, and they will say what is right as right. Okay, even though the truth will hurt you. Okay, so they're not that people who are like cheering you up always, right? Trying to keep you happy all the time and saying what is bad as good and good as bad. Okay, so remember, a true friend will never look down on you and they will be honest with you. So these are the signs of a true friend. Okay, now after learning all these signs, then you will come up with this thought that, well, it is very hard to find a true friend. It is very difficult to find a true friend. You can tell me like, oh, it is very easy for you to say that these are the signs of a true friend, but it is difficult to find. I know, right? People with these characteristics and people with these signs are very rare. That is what makes them exceptional. That is what makes them so much interesting. And that is what makes them a true friend. Okay? Right, let's say you cannot find such a friend around you. Okay, maybe you cannot find. Okay, there are some instances like that. So what can you do? Well, there's one thing that you can do, and that is to build up these 7 qualities within yourself and become a true friend to people around you. Okay, once you create those qualities within you, you create a potential for another true friend to be attracted to you. Okay, because that is the nature of this world. Okay, the nature of this world is the birds of feather flock together. That means same things get together. People with same qualities, they get together. Okay, so one thing that you can do is, if you did not find a true friend, be a true friend to people. Okay, so learn these signs and identify who is a true friend is and be with them. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. Today, let's talk about how can we practice Buddhism. Should you become a Buddhist, or should you convert to a Buddhist to practice Buddhism? This is what we are going to talk about today. Well, first of all, you have to know and you have to realize what Buddhism is. Buddhism doesn't have much of a religious aspects. It is more of, Buddhism should be understood as a practice or a way of life. Okay, so in that sense, everyone can practice Buddhism. It is open to everyone. There is no one to force to practice Buddhism, or there is no one to force you to believe certain things. So it's quite of a free practice, and you have the independence and you have this freedom to practice Buddhism and practice whatever you feels okay, right? If you like to practice meditations, then it's okay, right? You can practice meditations. If you want to practice generosity, this is one of the basic Buddhist practice. If you want to practice generosity, you can practice that. Okay. And also, if you want to practice the precepts or living the life in a disciplined way, practice the morals, then you can do it. So it is free and it has this freedom to practice. So you don't want to convert to a Buddhist. You don't want to become a Buddhist. In fact, in the Buddhist time, there was no person called Buddhists. Okay, there were no people called Buddhists. Only there was people, and also there were people who practiced the Buddha's teachings or Buddha's path. Okay, so this is what you have to understand. You don't want to become a Buddhist. There is no process of conversion. You can practice, and it is free to everyone. It is open to everyone. Buddha's Dhamma, this is the Buddha's teachings. Dhamma has this quality called ehipassiko. Buddha says that come and see, right? Come, learn about this, and realize and see this. See the reality of the life. This is what Buddha says. So it is open to everyone. Anyone can practice Buddhism. So there is no exceptions to practice Buddhism. Anyone can do this. So this is what I have to share today. So practice the Buddha's teachings and live a peaceful and a wise life. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to share with you 4 signs that you're having a toxic friendship. Now, before we discuss about these things, I have to mention and I have to say that the sole purpose of this discussion is not to attack on someone's personal life, not to criticize someone or not to judge someone, but to understand that mistakes can happen from everyone. We make mistakes. We all make mistakes. But we have to be wise when we deal with people, because the most important thing in our life is the peacefulness in our mind and the mental health. So with that in your mind, let's dive into today's video. So the first sign of a toxic relationship is they are only willing to take something from you, but they are not willing to give anything, right? Remember, when it is a friendship or if it is a relationship, it must be a give and take process. That means when you give something, they must give something back. Okay? When relationships and friendships become a one-way road, it is very painful. That is why when you spot such a friend, the first thing that you have to do is do not be too quick to judge them, because sometimes people are going through tough times in their life, right? Sometimes they are suffering personally. They're not in a good condition to help you. So what you have to do is you have to look for the person behind the actions. You have to look for the intention behind their words. Okay, so if you really found such a sign in your friendship, what you have to do is set your boundaries. Okay, limit your boundaries, and you have to decide whether I'm going to let this person to enter to my life or whether I'm not going to let him enter to my life. So keep that in your mind. That is the first sign. Then let's move to the second sign. The second sign is they only talk, but they are not willing to help you in actions. Okay? This is a friendship that is based only on words. Okay? They will praise you and they will be nice to you, right? They will say and they will give you promises to you, but only with the words, but not with actions. Remember, actions speak louder than words. So if it is a friendship, you must be a friend from your words as well as from your actions. Okay? That is the second sign. They only talk, but they are not willing to help you with actions. Moving on to the third sign, we have flattering friends. Flattering friends are the people who talk nice things about you in front of you. They will praise you, they will compliment you, but they are not afraid to put you down behind your back. Okay? You have to be very careful when you deal with such people. We should not hate anyone. We should not be angry with these people. What you have to do is you have to understand about the nature of people, nature of the intentions of the people, and forgive them, right? Forgive them and use your wisdom to stay away from their negativity. And that is the real meaning of kindness, to forgive someone and to stay away from people's negativity. So when you spot flattering friends, it's okay to be with them, it's okay to talk with them, but you have to be wise when you deal with such people. And finally, we have evil helpers. Evil helpers are the people who helps you in doing bad things. That means when you're about to do a bad thing, or when you're about to do a thing that is not good for your life and for your mental health, they will help you in doing it. Right? They will feel your anger. They will feel your jealousy. Okay? They will help you in doing bad things that brings the regret to your life. Right? So you should be very careful, and you should stay away from these people. So these are the 4 signs that you're having a toxic friendship. Now, why should we become so much aware of these friends and these signs? Because, do you know, our characters shaped by the people who we associate, right? There's a saying, it says, you are the average of 5 people that you are associating closely. That means we become who we associate. Therefore, surround yourself with positive people and the people who can uplift you and support you. And finally, remember that you deserve positive and healthy friendships that supports your life and your personal growth. Keep it in your mind. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to introduce you to the most famous Buddhist text in this world. Now, if you are new to Buddhism and if you'd like to learn more about Buddhism, this is one of the best books that you can read. So, the book's name is Dhammapada. Now, what is Dhammapada? Dhammapada is a set of verses that was originally preached by the Buddha himself, and this Dhammapada contains 423 verses in it, and these 423 verses are divided into 26 chapters. So why Dhammapada is important? You know, for Hindus we have Gita, and in Christianity we have Bible, and in Islam we have Quran. Same like that, to the Buddhist world we have Dhammapada. Now, Dhammapada is not the only text that we have to learn Buddhism. There are many texts, but this is called as the Handbook of Buddhists. Why it is called as Handbook of Buddhists? If you went through 2-3 random pages and if you read on 2-3 verses, you can learn many life advices. You can learn many Dhamma facts about life. So that is why it is called the Handbook of Buddhists. So that is why it is widely used, and this is the most famous Buddhist text in this world. So as an example, if you turn to a random page and if you read a verse, you can find something very valuable. Let's go for that. So in 236th verse, the Buddha says, "Make an island for yourself. Strive hard and become wise. Get rid of impurities and cleanse of stain. You shall enter the celestial abode of the noble ones." It goes like that. So if you turn to another
random page, and if you read a verse, it goes like this. The good shine even more afar, like the Himalayan mountain. But the wicked are unseen, like the arrows shot in the night. So, if you turn to random pages and if you read, you can gain many life advices and many valuable Dhamma facts. So that is why we have to use this Dhammapada. If you are interested in using this Dhammapada, I will link down some links below that you can find Dhammapada and read it online also. And also there are some links that you can download the PDF file links down below. So this is the importance of Dhammapada, and that is why it is known as the most famous Buddhist books in this world. So that is the end of this little introduction video. So I hope you found something very valuable to your life. So practice Dhamma and practice good deeds. So I wish you all, may all of you be well and happy forever. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another episode in Inner Guide Q&A program. Now I need to ask a question from you. When was the last time you had a sound sleep and after you wake up, you felt so good? I think most of the time we don't get a good sleep, and that is why we are feeling tired after a good sleep even. So today we're going to talk about how to wake up in the morning without feeling tired. Now remember, the quality of your wake up is highly dependent on how you sleep, the quality of your sleep. So first of all, let's talk about how to have a better sleep. Our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, taught us that if you can practice the love and the kindness throughout your life, in your heart, practically, you will sleep better, right? So it says that it is so important to maintain a kind and a calm and a peaceful heart to have a better sleep. So your sleep is highly affected by several things. It depends on what you do during the day, and it depends on how you approach the bed, your sleeping posture, and also it depends on what you do after you wake up. So we are going to talk about these things. So let's talk about how the things happen during the day affects our sleep. Now, if you spend most of the time in the day by being angry with people, by being jealous of others, by fighting with others and being sad and frustrated, then your mentality is not in a good condition. And then when you go to the bed, you will never have a peaceful sleep because your mind and your body is not ready for that, and it hasn't become peaceful. So it is so important to maintain a peaceful and a calm mind during the day, right? Of course, we cannot control the situations that we face during the day. We cannot control people complaining us, criticizing us, bullying us. We cannot control these things, but we can control our response to them, right? So we, by our own self, make the choice to be angry, to be jealous, to be frustrated, to blame. So what you have to do, you need to maintain and you need to try as much as possible to be kind and to be friendly with people, right? To help others, to do the good things, which makes you happy within. So if you can maintain a peaceful heart and peaceful mind during the day, even in the middle of the adversities and the problems,
then no one can control and no one can destroy your peacefulness. So when you approach the bed and when you go to the sleep, you're going with a kind and a peaceful heart. So your sleep quality will be increased. And also the sleep is highly dependent on how you approach the bed, right? So in brief, I must say, approach the bed with a clean body and a clean mind, right? So how we approach the bed with a clean body? Refresh your body before you are going to sleep. Don't go to sleep with dust-filled bodies and sweat-filled bodies, right? You can have a little bit of a shower. If it was a cold shower, it is much better. But if you cannot have a cold shower, if you are not in a condition of having a cold shower, then have a lukewarm shower, right? Then you go to the bed. And when you go to the bed, it is much more important to clean your mind. So how to do that? And that's where the meditation comes in, right? You can bring in a meditation before you sleep. So it is so easy to practice a session or 5-minute session of loving kindness meditation, right? You can spread the love and kindness towards yourself first, and you can spread the same love and kindness to your family members, to your neighbors, to your people around your village, maybe the people in your town, and you can spread the love and kindness to the whole world. When you spread the thoughts and when you generate these thoughts within your mind gets so peaceful and it will become so serene. So bring in a loving kindness meditation before you sleep, right? And then you can go to the sleep with a clean body and a clean mind. And also, the quality of your sleep is highly dependent on your sleeping posture, right? Most of the people, they sleep on their stomach. They sleep facing down. But that is not a good posture to sleep. Our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, slept and he had his sleep on the right side, to the right side. You can sleep to the right side, and that posture is called Singhasaya, the lion's posture, which was used by our great teacher Supreme Buddha throughout his whole life. So if you can try that posture, that is one of the best postures to sleep. And also you can sleep to the left side, right? So these postures will increase your quality of the sleep, right? So these things affects your sleep in many ways, and it makes a huge impact. And then let's talk about what we should do after we wake up. Now, I need to share with you some tips which you can practice soon after you wake up, right? So first of all, do not do this. Do not hit the snooze button. Now, many of you hit the snooze button and you go back to the sleep. Remember, when you hit the snooze button and when you go to the sleep again, that sleep is not a perfect sleep, right? And that is why you're feeling tired after you wake up. So what you have to do, don't hit the snooze button. Wake up and get down from the bed soon after you wake up, right? So you can keep your alarm clock, maybe your mobile phone, you can set the alarm and you can keep that thing across your room in a distance where you should walk to the alarm clock and stop it. So it will help you to get down from the bed. So that is one tip. And the next one is drink some water soon after you wake up. You can keep a glass of water near your alarm clock. Then you can stop the alarm and have a drink of water, right? And then it's better to have a little bit of a shower in the morning. If it is a cold shower, it is much better. But if you cannot have a cold shower, then go for a lukewarm shower, and you will feel so refreshed in the morning. And after that, do some exercises, have some stretches on your body, then you're good to go, right? So these things, if you can do these things as soon after you wake up, it will keep up the refreshness that you feel in the morning throughout the day. So that is how we have a peaceful wake up early in the morning and feel refreshed. So I hope you enjoy this video, and I wish you all, may all of you be well and happy, and may all of you live long, and may all of you realize the Four Noble Truths in this Gautam Buddha's dispensation. Namo Buddhaya, Theruvan Saranai. Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to yet another Q&A video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the fear of failure and how to deal with it. Did you know that the majority of the people who fail in their life challenges fail because of this fear of failure? So we're going to find a solution and how to deal with it. First of all, we have to realize that failure is a part of life, right? It is with the life. It comes with the life. And fearing the failure, this fear that arises inside our mind, it's an emotion. So these are two different things. Let's talk about the failure. Failure, you cannot avoid it. It's a worldly condition. Our great teacher, Supreme Buddha, said there are 8 worldly conditions in this world. From time to time, you have to go through these 8 worldly conditions. So what are these 8 worldly conditions? Buddha explained: pleasure, pain, blame, praise, disrepute, fame, gain, loss. These things are the 8 worldly conditions, right? So these things change time to time. From time to time, these things comes to our life, and we have to go through these things. So you cannot avoid the failure. Sometimes you get what you want. Sometimes you don't get what you want. So we have to find a way to deal with it. One thing that you have to realize is, when you fear the failure more and more, there will be more chances for you to fail. That is a law in this nature. That is a law of our mind, right? The more you fear, the more you fail. Keep that in your mind, right? So that means when you fear too much, you're running out of your plans. You're not thinking about your plans, and you're just sticking to that emotion of fear, and you're not going to take the risks, and you're not going to take that next step. So fearing the failure, this fear is the thing that holds you back from the success. Realize it. So what we can do with this fear when it comes to our mind? Of course, we can use our fear to our success. How? So if you are afraid of failure, then you can be well prepared, right? Then you have to think, oh, I'm afraid of failing, so I must come up with a plan, and I must work my plan. So in that way, you can use this emotion to your own success. And there's another thing. You have to learn how to keep your expectations moderate. Not too high, not too low, but in the middle way, in the moderate state. How do we keep it? Do not think of yourself that I'm going to be the perfect in this world. I'm going to be the best in this world. Of course you can be the best, but not for a long time. It is also impermanent. And also, don't think about yourself like, I'm not good enough, I cannot do it, I'm not going to make it.
Don't think about yourself negatively. Instead, keep your expectations moderate. How? I will do my best. If you are facing an exam, all right, if you are fearing about it, you have to think, I will do my best, right? I'm not going to be the best, but I can do my best. I can become the best version of myself, right? That is why I'm trying for this. You have to think about that again and again. When you think about that, you're trying to give the best of yourself. You're trying to come up with a better plan, and you are trying to work that plan. When you keep your expectations too high, you have to set and make some unrealistic plans, right, which are not going to work. When you keep your expectations very low, you're not going to come up with a plan actually, because you're thinking lowly about yourself, right? So keep your expectations in moderate way. Then you will feel less fear. And I must say, every one of us feel this fear. It's a common mental condition, right? And also, every one of us fail. It's also a common worldly condition. Do you think the Buddha didn't fail? Before he becomes the Buddha, when he was the Bodhisattva, he failed many times, right? He spent 6 years of time trying to find this Buddhahood, right? Trying to find this enlightenment. But finally he failed, right? He tried many things like self-mortification, these harsh meditations. But finally he realized that I cannot achieve this enlightenment through these hardships. Then he thought, now I must change my plan. I must change the way I am doing. That is what Buddha taught. But he did not give up his dream. He did not give up his goal. Instead, he changed the plan. So you can change your plan. You can change the way you are doing, right? But do not give up your dream. You will fail, you will fall, you will have to suffer in this life. That is the life, but do not give up the dream. Right? If you're a student, if you're having the life challenges, never give up. Change the way you're doing. It's okay, you can do that, right? So that is what you have to do. And the final thing that I have to say is, do not be afraid to fail. Because failure teaches us many things, many lessons. It teaches us what not to do. It teaches us how to be patient. It teaches us you're a human and you will fail. It teaches us how to be humble. There are many lessons that we can learn from failure. But when you win all the time, if there is the victory all the time in your life, you will never learn many things. Instead, it will feed your ego. So, keep it in your mind. Do not be afraid to fail, but be afraid to not to try. So, keep these things in your mind and practice and be happy in your life. Namo Buddhaya.